Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenna. This is JennaGetsCreative. If you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing. Today we're watching part 1 of my Peacock Mandala. This is the drawing phase, and then when I get around to coloring it, I'll upload part 2 with the coloring. I'm thinking it's going to be pencil, but I'm not sure. I might do digital. I might do some mixed media. If you've got some ideas or something you'd like to see for me coloring this, feel free to comment down below. And for the most part, this is just going to be a rambly story time, not really going to talk about the art, except for a couple pieces where I'm probably going to interrupt myself and comment on something. You will see a little furry guest star. Her name is Camo, that is as in camouflage, C-A-M-O. She's a lovely orange and black tortoiseshell cat, and she blends in very nicely with our camouflage couch and chair set. Yes, we have camouflage furniture. We're Newfie rednecks. We admit it. We love it. We live out on the shore. Not quite Bayman, definitely not Downies. So, yeah, her name's Camo because she blends in with our camo stuff, and she will be making appearances. There are two spots in this video where it skips ahead a bit. There's one part where there's some paisley type patterns on there. They're just suddenly going to appear because my camera stopped recording. Thank you, camera. And then when I'm done putting all the designs in, I went over and made some of the line work thicker before I brought out the pencil, and I forgot to record that piece. So what you missed was me going in with the new Micron pen I got with the last scrawler box and playing with the line weight. For the rest of it, I'm using Staedtler pigment liners, and I absolutely love them. Now that I have some proper actual waterproof pigment liner microns, I'd say they're basically the same pen. I tend to reach for the Staedtler because they're in this lovely little hard plastic 4-pack that's just easier to reach where I've put it. Anyway, story time. So I am not a trained artist by any means. I did not go to school for art. The high school I went to is grades 8 through 12, and it's on terms, 3 terms a year instead of semesters. And in the 8th grade, there are a couple of electives that run all year round. That would be the full year art, and then there's band, and there may have been 1 or 2 others. But other than that, you had 2 different electives every term. So in the 8th grade, most students had 6 electives, and there was a 1-term art class. I did do that class, and then that was the last time I took art in high school, unless you count my digital design class in the computer lab. I took just about every computer course I could get my hands on. I took just about every electronics course I could get my hands on, and I was very, very STEM field nerdy. And then when I got to university, I started in engineering. That lasted 1 semester, changed my mind, thought maybe I was going to teach, and went to a more local college since I didn't have to go to the fancy engineering school. And I had the opportunity to take electives in all sorts of fields because I was just getting a BA. So I took an intro to life drawing class, and that was so much fun. We did the whole live models thing, and the instructor was wonderful. She was a local artist who was paid to come out and teach in between her time in her own studio, and I learned a lot from her, and I learned a lot from the class for sure. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. We did a lot of charcoal work, mostly charcoal work, honestly. Some Conte, some ink washes, but she really wanted us to be very, very basic with it, so that we learned techniques and learned shading and that kind of thing, and we did some negative space work. And because of this, with the exception of the various brown tones that the Conte was in, we weren't allowed to use color. So yeah, it was not what I thought it was going to be. Great class, really enjoyed it, learned a lot. I believe my work from that class is still in my large portfolio folder at my mother's place in another province. But yeah, that was my first art class. So I thought that was a great experience. So the next year, when I had room for a 4-hour lecture elective, because that's how the art classes worked at this college, they were once a week and you went for 4 hours, I decided to try Intro to Painting, because I was quite sure that that one would actually allow us to use color. So I showed up on the first day, and we were all sat on chairs in this big circle, and it was a completely full room. The instructor had us all introduce each other like you do, and she had us state what we were studying, what not, and I learned through this activity that there was one student who was there who was on the wait list for the class, and you'll see why that's important in a minute. So after that introduction game, she starts talking about how class is going to work for the semester, and she parades out her examples of all of the supplies that she expected us to have. I believe it was 16 canvases she wanted us to have. They were a ridiculously huge size. Like, I don't even know how I was going to transport them on the bus in nice, rainy British Columbia. But yeah, and she wanted to see all 16 finished pieces at the end of the semester at the same time in person, so we were absolutely not allowed to gesso over our work and use the same canvas again during the course of the semester, so it was already going to be expensive. And then she's showing us the paint she wanted us to have. I believe we were going to work in acrylics, but it was not going to be okay to just run to Walmart and pick up a Derwent Academy set. There was this special brand she wanted us to have. I don't remember what it was, and we had to have these particular colors. It wasn't just the obvious, the primaries and the secondaries. It was like this really fancy, expensive, professional set of like 30 colors. So the price tag's going up again. And then she gets to the brushes. And once again, it's not like, oh, you need a round number 2 with synthetic hair, go out and get it. It's, no, you need the round number 2 in this brand, and not only this brand, I want you to make sure that the handle has this particular marking on it because they started making a new line in such and such year, and these older ones are better, so go find it. And maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but she was that specific that we had to have these particular brushes. So the price tag's going up, and then she brings out this like wide flat brush, basically just for gessoing your canvas, and it looks like something you could go buy at Home Depot for $2. But no, of course, this has to be this other expensive brand from the art supply store that was going to cost $20 just for that brush. So I think you're getting the idea at this point. It was going to be expensive to get these supplies, and this was an elective. I was at that time majoring in history with a minor in psychology, and I was taking this painting class because I like art, and I enjoyed the previous art class I had done at this college, so I wanted to continue. And so I'm starting to have my doubts. And then she starts talking about what we're going to do for the semester with these supplies. And she's talking about how she's not here to teach us how to draw or paint or create art. She's there to critique our art and guide us in our own personal journey of experiencing art. And I'm thinking, okay, you're sounding a little crazy, and like, you're paid to teach us? Like, are we not going to learn any techniques at all? Are you just going to go, okay, so the subject is blah, go for it, and then the next week you're gonna go, oh, this is wrong, oh, this is horrible, oh, you have no grasp on this technique. And yeah, really wasn't sure what she was expecting. And then somebody asks, are we only doing acrylics? And she says, well, I might have you go buy some oil paints halfway through. And somebody says, so we're going to do acrylics and oils. And she goes, yep. And somebody says, what about watercolor? And oh my goodness, this woman, she says, watercolor is not real art. I know everybody loves Thomas Kincaid, calls him the painter of light, but really, I'm not impressed, and watercolor is not art. So if you want to learn watercolor, I suggest you go across the street to the community center and sign up for a community watercolor class with the senior citizens. Well, after everything she had said, that was the last straw. When we broke halfway through for a break to like have 15 minutes, run to Tim Hortons or something, I took my backpack with me and I went across to the library and I logged into my student portal and I dropped the class. That other student who was there on the wait list could have my spot. And that is the extent of my formal art training. Everything else has just been experimenting and using reference and watching other artists. I've always enjoyed art. I was always drawing as a kid. My mother's quite good at it. My sister's quite good at it. My sister took a lot of art classes in high school, so yeah. And I always enjoyed seeing what she was doing, and I always enjoyed doing projects for other classes that required being artistic, putting together a presentation. But I had other priorities. I thought I was going to be an engineer, so I didn't prioritize art in school. By the way, I did go back to engineering after many years doing history and psychology, and I did 2 years of electrical engineering, and I discovered at the end of 2 years of electrical engineering that I would actually rather do computer engineering. And even though the electrical and computer engineering students are together in the same lab and everything, and have mostly the same courses, and at that point in the 4th semester hadn't really diverged that much, I could not just switch over. I had to drop out of the engineering department, and if I really wanted to do that, I had to reapply to 3rd term the following year with the even younger students to do computer. And then, since I hadn't earned a spectacularly high enough grade in 2 of the classes that were shared, I would have to repeat those, as well as the 2 classes that only the computer students did when I got to the 4th term. And I thought this was ridiculous and a waste of time, so I switched over to the computer science faculty to do a computer science degree. So, just like some of the other artists here on YouTube, you are watching a techie STEM field lady who is now trying to do something with art. And it's a lot of fun. plans don't always work out, and you don't always end up doing what you thought you were going to do when you were 6 years old. But I do like where I am in life, and I enjoy art, and I've decided that now that I'm currently a stay-at-home mom, this is what I'm going to do with my time when I'm not being mom. So at this point we've already seen the first jump in art. That was the paisley, and now the second jump in art has just happened. All of the lines are thicker, and I'm going back in with my Faber-Castell Polychromos black and a tortillon, whatever you want to call them, smudge stick. And just making some shadows and accents with that. I've seen a lot of other artists do this technique with mandalas, and I thought I would try it. And I didn't know how much to do, I didn't want to overdo it, but I really like how it turned out. So just a little bit about this piece. I was just practicing sketching animals from reference photos, and I pulled up a photo of a peacock on Pixabay, which is a royalty-free, free-use image website. And this particular peacock, it was focused on the head, neck, and body, and everything in the background was blurred out, and either its tail was not up at all, or it was just that blurred out. So I just drew this piece of the peacock, and I was thinking, you know what? This would look great if I put a mandala in the background as its tail. So I got out my light box and I traced it onto better paper, and here we are. I'm making it into a mandala. And yeah, at this point I need to color it. Again, any ideas? I think I'll be doing pencil. I don't know if I want to use my Prismas or if I want to use my Polychromos. I only have the 12 set of Polychromos because dang, these things are expensive. So I'm not sure if I have enough colors to do it. I know lots of people do make great art with just 12 colors, and I've done limited color palettes type challenges now at this point. So that could be interesting. I'm definitely going to make copies of this so that I don't ruin the original. Maybe I'll have multiple coloring phases in, I don't know, smashed together in one video, split into different videos, I don't know. Again, if you have suggestions how you would color this, how you want to see me color this, feel free to let me know. I'm going to sign off at this point. There's not much left in the video, so my social media will be down below. If you liked this, feel free to follow me wherever I am and share your art with me. Thanks. Bye.